Hey, sweet dreamers. It's your boy, Zach, from the Young and the Restless. I just wanted to let you know that as a new podcast, we're still in that phase where Apple Podcast reviews have a weirdly, disproportionately high impact on our success. So it would really mean the world to us if you would, give us 5 stars over there. And if you leave a dream in the review, we'll give you a shout out and take a stab at interpreting it on the show. I mean, even if you hate us, we'll read your hate mail on air if you leave it in the body of a 5-star review, and we'll still love you. Anyway, on with the show.
It is a good viewpoint to see the world as a dream.
Welcome to The Young and the Restless. I'm Olivia.
I'm Victor.
And I'm Zach. And this is the podcast where I'm not drunk, you're drunk.
Now I lay me down to sleep. I dreamt I had a soul to keep. And if I die before I wake, will that dream just go on for its own sake?
What I was just laughing at before we started recording was that I was scrolling through my dream journal and I found a short entry that I have zero recollection of. Like, I do not remember the dream. I do not remember writing this. And it just says, "We got married. It was a whirlwind. I don't remember the ceremony, only being at a hotel. Watching guests leave the hotel and fashion people show up to have their turn. Victor had a mom who was Indian and disappointed."
Interesting.
That's very coherent, usually, especially for something you don't remember.
Yeah, I literally have no memory of that. So,
Yeah. And usually your dream memos are like,
they're too bad to read often. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have decided to start editing them a little bit so that I can read them more directly for this podcast. I think that'll be nice for you, the listeners.
have you been having a lot of wedding dreams in this, it's like a week and a half?
Week and a half, something like that. I'm going to say probably, but if I've learned anything from this podcast, it's that a wedding dream is not necessarily about a wedding. Or a dream that's about a wedding does not necessarily feature a wedding. And
vice versa.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
nothing means anything.
Because that one you just read where Victor's mom was Indian, what took place at a wedding, but that doesn't mean it was about that. You could have just been picturing a wedding because you've been thinking about it nonstop.
Yeah, that's true. No, lately I've been having dog dreams, but not the regular "my dogs are in trouble" dreams. I've been having dreams about other dogs lately.
Dogs, or just rando doggos?
Rando doggos. Yeah. I did have a dream about, the other night I had a dream about rats eating the tip of my dog's ear off. And then I had a dream immediately after that of me looking up rats in the dream Bible.
Oh, do you remember what it meant in the dream Bible?
So in the dream Bible, in my dream,
the dream Bible?
In the dream Bible, it had like a C. It said something else. It like sent me to a different entry. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was like Rasmus or something. I don't know. It was like instead of rats, it was like see Rasmus, and it was like, this is like the god of death and decay.
I wonder what rats mean in the real world dream Bible. The real dream
question.
Bible, not the fantasy one.
Rats. To dream of a rat represents underhanded behavior, people, or situations. Rats reflect lying, cheating, stealing, or backstabbing other people. You may be hiding something from others or having a problem trusting someone. Was it dead or did it have a color?
It was a horde of rats. It was like 50 rats taking Casper down, and then they bit his ear off. I was very upset, especially because it's his cute ear. It's the one that flippy floppies.
But I was just gonna ask Victor if you have been having any like stress dreams leading up to the wedding, or is that a thing for you?
No
Stress
no
dreams, I mean.
dreams. No, I'm not recalling any dreams, but in without a dream, I can offer you I'm on the Dream Bible website and it's giving me an ad for a Donald Trump quarter.
Oh,
So, I don't know. That's it.
how many cents is that worth?
They're selling it.
$24.
Yeah, they're selling it for $24.73.
That's a lot.
But I don't.
That's a lot of quarters.
Notice that this company is called Money Metals, not Metal Monies, because you
mhm.
can't actually buy anything with the Donald Trump quarter.
Yeah, I don't know if these are real coins or just.
I think
like,
they're just novelty coins
right.
that are very expensive.
Yeah, there's a gold one for $600.
Damn.
It's probably not real gold though.
Can you imagine
Probably
spending
is.
$600
Okay.
on a quarter and then like accidentally putting it in a washing machine?
Yeah,
That
or
it's like costs more than either of our wedding rings.
right. Can you imagine just needing your laundry done that bad? Then you use your $600 quarter.
Yeah. I would go to 7-Eleven and get cash back, but I spent all my money on this quarter. But yeah, do you get stress dreams? Is that well, you guys you made it sound like these this isn't a particularly like stressful time. Whenever somebody has an imminent wedding, I assume that it's like chaos. But
It's been stressful. Olivia's been doing most of it because I am garbage. No, I've been doing things here and there, but Olivia's taken on most of the organizing, and so you've had more wedding stress than I have.
Yeah, it's been pretty manageable. Today was kind of a fiasco, but
yeah, you almost couldn't record. You don't have to talk about that, but it was so.
it wasn't anything serious. It was just like,
It was such a hairpin turn where like the texts were like a minute apart. You're like, crisis, can't record. Scratch that. We're good.
It's
it
not
was
worth
a hairpin turn.
It's not worth getting into details, but today was a bullshit day from start to finish. Every event, every unique event was bullshit from when we woke up to when we sat before you now.
Well, I'll try not to.
So what do you got for us?
Yeah, do you have any
Zach?
bad news?
Yeah, what's
Zach?
going on with you, Zach? You're like, guys, I don't think I'm feeling this podcast anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think we should keep doing this.
No, I'm excited. I've been thinking about Seattle a lot, and kind of missing it. So I'm excited to be up there in a little bit.
Yeah, I'm excited to see you. It's going to be really fun to have all of our friends together. And I was just telling my friend earlier, I'm like, just as excited for like the pre-wedding events as I am for the wedding. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I love a wedding. I don't know. Have you ever met somebody who like, I don't know. I feel like if you don't like a wedding, you're like a Ebenezer Scrooge. It's like, It's just a good time.
Yeah, no, that is true. I do feel like I've met some people who are like, oh, I hate weddings. I'm like, really? Like,
Yeah, even people.
it's like a free good time with free drinks and free food and like
Dancing,
fine.
love is in the.
Yeah.
I don't even dance, but I like standing there with a paper plate, eating cake, watching people have fun.
Absolutely.
yeah, chit the chat, you know.
Chit the chat, shoot the chit.
Yeah.
Yeah, even like I've met some like hardcore like libertarian kind of people that don't believe in like the institution of marriage. And I'm like, well, you
Right.
can't deny that a wedding's fun.
Weddings are fun. You don't have to support the institution of marriage.
I thought libertarians were all about contracts. Isn't a wedding just a contract?
Not-
It really is.
Not with the government,
Mm.
but you'd think that they would enjoy the tax breaks.
There you go.
But yeah, I think I just I don't know what is. I love the constant sunshine, but lately I've just been like, I kind of miss Seattle. And I'm also just, I think I'm only been here like 9 months, and I'm such an introvert. I'm already exhausted with the hustle culture, like the constant networking
Yeah.
and socializing, and I'm just ready to like have accomplished my dreams so that I can enter my JD Solinger phase and move back to Washington into
Are you gonna come back here?
I mean, I'm talking like in a couple decades when I'm
No.
like an old curmudgeon and ready to move into a cabin in the woods.
Yeah, he's not going to hang out with us. He's just going to be in his cabin chopping wood.
No, I'll hang out with you guys.
You can just rent out our apartment here. Be our backyard buddy.
What part of the city are you in?
We're not in Seattle proper.
Give your
we're
address
in-
on the podcast. The what
So it's
like sub neighborhood.
we're in Briar. I live 10 minutes away from.
Oh,
It's a small enough town that we basically gave you our address.
we can bleep all that, including we've been so careful about avoiding.
Fuck. Yeah. Sorry. I honestly don't really care. But yeah, no, we're like just north, about 20 minutes north of Seattle.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know if I would want to live like in Seattle. I don't know. I miss the terrain and not so much the weather, but the green and the culture, the people. How they're all introverts too, and
You moved to Seattle at the worst time.
You
like
did.
the fall before COVID is like you probably met a couple of people, and then like nobody was meeting anybody, right?
yeah, and I was just starting a career, so it's hard to. That's what I'm talking about. My or fantasizing about retiring there, because it's like I feel like it's a great place to be once you're good with your life. Once you like have things put together, it's a hard place to put stuff together if you don't already have your shit together.
Yeah, it can be. I feel like it just depends on what you're doing. So much work is remote these days. It's like
Yeah. Speaking of work, what have you been up to? And I don't know if this is part of the podcast right now, but I have been honestly meaning to ask you that question because we haven't
I am so unemployed right now.
Oh, okay. Is that why you're handling most of the wedding shit?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the other part.
Victor's busy working, earning bread.
Yeah, I had that one job that I interviewed for, and they were like checking my references and stuff, and they were like, "Okay, we're gonna hire you in approximately 2 months," and I'm like,
Was that 2 months
"Okay."
ago?
It
Just
was.
about 2 months ago, yeah. So like, whatever, we will see. But also now it's like 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks to the wedding. I'm not gonna be like responding to job stuff on our honeymoon or anything. So it's like I might as well wait until after.
You're talking about the one that I also applied to?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're pretty much still like you made a conscious decision to hold off on trying to find a new job until we were past the wedding because it really didn't make sense to like be picking up a job a few weeks out from when we were getting married and having to take our honeymoon and everything. So, and you had that job that was going to call you back right about at the perfect time for you to get a new job.
Yeah.
And so you've been more stressed about it lately because you're starting to feel that you haven't worked for a while, but we're like right on track for the plan that we made. And when we get back, if you still haven't heard from them, that's the time to give them a call, just like we talked about.
Yeah.
Right?
You are right. Yeah. It's been like coming at me in kind of an antsy way lately, but yeah, you're right. We're kind of
just
it's exactly what we said.
Exactly. Yeah.
What's coming for you? Just the stagnation of not working.
Yeah, and like just the uncertainty of what is, because like the wedding and everything up to that is like I don't know, that's like kind of feels like a marker, like where it's like, okay, after the wedding is a different period of time, and so like not knowing what that's gonna look like exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I've been job hunting nonstop, and I sort of pumped the brakes recently, and I'm just traveling for the wedding. I'm not even getting married. But like a month ago, when I first got the plane tickets, I was like, all right, if I get an interview, I'll just tell them these dates. But like a week out, I'm like, I'll just pick this up when I get back.
Right?
Yeah, because I guess it's like you don't want to be like worrying about responding to an email or like making sure that you're on top of that when you're in the middle of a big thing.
I also don't want to land an interview like the day before I fly and be like, yeah, I can start later.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm so excited. See you in a week.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you usually give a place like 2 weeks if you
I also do feel like a wedding is like a really reasonable thing. Like I'm flying out for a wedding is not like any job that's like, what the fuck? You wouldn't put that down and
You have-
start tomorrow is
Yeah.
like, you don't want to work there.
Probably not a good job.
You have friends doing something that they only do once a lifetime.
Yeah.
Unacceptable. I mean, ideally, once a lifetime.
You have non-refundable plane tickets? Fuck you.
Doing something your friends only do on average 2 to 3 times in a lifetime.
Should we? What?
I can't remember. Never mind. I had like a flash of like some statistic that I heard, and then I realized I can't remember it. It was something about like, yeah, it's not worth getting into. Cut this out.
About divorce?
It was something. I thought there was some relationship with like living together first, being connected to how likely you are to get a divorce.
Oh.
But then I couldn't remember which way it flipped, whether it was beneficial or if it hurt you.
I think it would. I remember that.
It sounds
I think
like
it was
it
beneficial.
would be beneficial.
I think I was gonna say that, and then I remember. I guess what I remembered is I think it hurts you. I think it hurts the odds. But I think what that is that like sometimes people will move in together and then they may not be happy, but they're like, well, we live together. Like we may as well like try and make this work. And then they get married and then it falls apart down the road.
Which sounds silly, but I could see that. I could see how that happens.
A lot of bad relationships are people just constantly doubling down. Constant sunk cost fallacy of like, well, I put so much time and energy into this that I just have to keep grinding away at this bad relationship. And
yeah, I feel like I could have come close to that with the last person I lived with. The M word was thrown around, but
yeah. And then usually that works out great for people. They get married and all their problems just vanish. So,
and if it doesn't, you just have a kid.
Right. And
Yes.
that guaranteed solves every problem.
Yeah. Usually. Most cases.
Most cases. Yeah.
I'd be willing to bet like 60%.
Little asterisks.
Because if
there.
you're having problems with each other, the only way to fix it is to get a new person involved that you care infinitely more about.
And we can all agree that if that doesn't solve it, it's the kid's fault, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's what my parents told me.
As a child of divorce, I can tell you it was absolutely my fault.
It's true. That's true. I've heard the story and it was definitely her.
Where do your dreams come from? And what do they really mean? What do they really
Zach, do you have a dream that you wanted to do today?
Yeah. Well, I feel like I should because we brought it. I teased it last time on the last episode. I brought it up. It was like hesitant to talk about it, but I had some time to think about it and then forget what I was going to say about it. So let's just see what happens.
Let's get into it.
Yeah. The important part is that I remember the dream. Always a good place to start.
Always a good place to stop.
Inside joke. Okay, so yeah, I had a dream that I was back in college, living in the dorms, which is pretty common, a pretty common dream for me. But it's always that thing of where it's like it doesn't look like the dorm that I lived in, but it's the same dorm every time I have this dream. It's like a very like some small room I must have seen at some point in my life. But anyway, I was there and I was rolling a joint, and I don't smoke weed anymore, and I haven't in many years. I did in college. I decided to sprinkle in some PCP into the joint. Or I had all this, it was like shake weed, like the shit at the bottom of the bag. And then for some reason I also had PCP, and I was like, it seems like a good time to give this a try. I felt like it was like the end of the semester or something.
God, I hope PCP is in the Dream Bible. Damn,
I don't even know
no.
I don't even know how one does
Drugs.
PCP. I guess I subconsciously thought you smoked it, but
I think that I've heard of weed laced with PCP before.
okay.
So I think you can smoke it.
Maybe I have too, and that's where I got this idea. But
It's a bad idea, but
yeah.
What if that was real and all this is a dream?
Oh shit. I'm still in college. And then I can't remember if I did any in the dorm or not, but I think maybe I took like one hit or something, and I was like, this is kind of fun. I'm being responsible. And then I put it into I like opened my vape that I'm holding here in my hand.
Mm.
It's just one of these like disposable ones that you get at, whatever vape shop. But in the dream, it opened up and I put the joint inside of it as like a
Like
little,
a doob tube.
yeah, like a doob tube. And then I put it in my pocket and I forgot about it. And then the dream sort of transitioned into this other one where it was like years later after college, and I was in a successful band playing guitar. And the sequence in the dream was like a music video. We were just going to practice, but it was presented like a music video where like all the dudes in this band looked super cool. They all had like long, cool band dude hair and like sunglasses and like slick coats. And they're all walking into the practice studio, and they all have like matching canvas bags with their gear in it that has the name of the band on it. And the name was the Bougie Boys, which is a terrible terrible band name, but it stuck with me. How cool it looked, like
Boys.
emblazoned on the side of these canvas bags.
Like a high school like volleyball team. Like
Yeah, a lacrosse team,
yeah.
the Bougie Boys. But yeah, I mean, I sort of got the impression it felt like it was like Arcade Fire, like that genre of music.
Okay.
But that we were like successful, so I was like, yeah, that's not my genre or whatever, but like I've been recruited by this successful band, I'm going to be a professional musician. I was super stoked. And before we actually got started practicing, I went down the hall to use the bathroom of the studio. And I used the bathroom, and I'm washing my hands, and like right after I wash my hands, I pull out my vape and take a hit, and then immediately remember that there's a shit ton of PCP in there. And I immediately become like super fucked up. And I'm still looking in the mirror. So I remember like my reflection went like upside down, and like I got the spins really bad. I could barely stand up.
Were you the ginger kid that
No.
you oh, okay.
If I was, I might have started lucid dreaming.
Okay.
Yeah.
That only happens when you lucid dream. Okay.
That's how I know that I'm lucid dreaming.
Oh, okay.
Or that's how I know that I'm dreaming, when I see a ginger in the mirror. But no, it was me. But I mean, I could barely see my face. I was so fucked up on PCP. And I mean, I don't know what that's like, but in the dream, it was like really like I could barely stand up. It was just like really intense spins, and I couldn't walk without falling down. And I was like, shit, I'm not gonna be able to go to band practice. And if I do, I'm either not going to show up, or I'm going to show up fucked up on PCP, and they're going to kick me out. And there goes my opportunity to be in a successful touring band. And that's all I can remember. I don't remember making it back to the actual band room or not.
Okay. Can I ask you why you were hesitant to talk about this dream?
Because I think I know what it's about.
Okay. Okay.
Is it about being awesome?
No. It's about something. Well, I mean, do you want me to say what I think it's about, or do you want to take a stab at it first?
Yeah. What do you think? Should we do our thing first? Or?
Okay, so we could do like some dream Bible symbols. We could do some first impressions, or you could tell us what you think it's about. What would you like to hear?
Let's do that. Yeah, and if the first impressions and dream Bible stuff go nowhere, then I'll just tell you what I think, because I would love to find out it's about something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, my first while Victor's looking some stuff up, I guess my gut is like, okay, that's like your dream. Maybe that being in this band is like representative of like your dream of success, of doing a thing you love, and like, I guess you smoking the PCP joint is like kind of a dumb, like accidental self-sabotage of that. Like you just fucked up and like fucked it all up.
That's what my get was that it's like some anxiety of like shooting yourself in the foot, or like blowing an opportunity somehow.
Yeah, that's definitely what I think. It's just a little more specific.
Okay.
What was the name of the band?
The Bougie Boys.
The Bougie Boys.
Bougie. Okay, I don't think I'm gonna get anywhere with the dream Bible with that.
Such a stupid name, but I feel like my subconscious named it that because it was like thinking of this. It's like a band's not even in my wheelhouse, but it's a band that would be successful, like Arcade Fire or Imagine Dragons. And so to me, it was like, I think this idea of kind of selling out, but like in a way that I would be happy with, because I could be a part of, like the upper middle class.
So you said you took the drugs when you were in the bathroom, right?
On accident. I was trying to hit my vape, and I
Gotcha.
forgot that I had filled the vape with drugs.
Maybe. No, I don't know if smoking is actually really that relevant because you do vape. Like that's just a thing that you're habitually doing.
Yeah, that's why I think it should. I mean, you know how dreams kind of unfold, where events just take place, and sometimes you can feel yourself like making it up as you go.
Yes. No, this happened a couple of nights ago. We went out and I like met up with some people from college, and a couple of things that came up were like classes in film school. And that one time I wore a Cruella de Vil costume, and then the next night I had a dream that I was in film school in a Cruella de Vil costume. And then, but there were like other details in the dream that I'm like, the dream was probably more about the other stuff, and those were some things that were kind of like superimposed onto it because it was something I talked about earlier today.
Yeah, I'm sure that I hit my vape in my dreams all the time just because I'm addicted to nicotine, and so it's a very familiar motion. But in this dream, as I did it, I recalled an earlier dream where the vape was full of drugs, and so then my brain started creating a scenario where it's like, oh no, now you're too fucked up.
Oh, so it was a separate dream. Like, was there time between those dreams that you can recall?
Yeah, the Bougie Boys part. Oh, I mean, it's hard to tell how far apart they were spaced, but it was in one
like sequence, one dream sequence.
There was no waking time in between. I don't know.
Okay, gotcha.
It could have been hours or minutes apart. I have no idea.
But those are parts of your dream that stuck with you or that you remember, and they were connected. So
yeah, there was a through line.
So it pulled up quite a few dream Bible entries here. I kind of organized them from like when they came up towards the end of from the start to finish. So I'm just going to start going through them. Dormitory. To dream of a dorm represents common problems with others. Your problems, anxieties, or ideas are out in the open. It may also reflect a lack of privacy while experiencing problems or anxiety issues. Problems that are out in the open or obvious to others, sharing the same problem as others. Alternatively, a dorm may reflect intellectual pursuits that involve others, such as group brainstorming.
That's not what I expected.
Your problems, anxieties, or ideas are out in the open? Okay.
From back in so something that stuck out to me, you were in the bathroom when you did the drugs, and we did a whole poop episode, right? And there was a theme of privacy, lack of privacy. And so this sticks out to me that dormitories also represent maybe a lack of privacy when dealing with anxiety or experiencing an issue.
Yeah, which is interesting because I was alone in the bathroom and I was alone in the dorm. I got the impression that I had a roommate, but he was like long gone because the semester was over. It was like Christmas break or something.
You're Harry Potter. You're alone in the dorms.
Let's go look at that entry again and see if there's a part in there that is not about.
I like the idea of someone doing PCP thinking it's like a Harry Potter spell. Angelus Dustius.
Sharing the same problem as others. Alternatively, a dorm may reflect intellectual pursuits that involve others, such as group brainstorming or a band.
Okay, so we got a couple themes, possibly.
Or if you're currently... Oh, no, never mind. That's not relevant.
Yeah, if you were currently living in a dorm, then this symbol may be a reflection of your current surroundings or hold similar symbolic meaning to a house.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, which makes sense. It's like, well, this is where you live.
It's where you live, yeah.
So it symbolizes home to you in some way.
So it could be like, so if it's not about a lack of privacy, sharing the same problem as others or an intellectual pursuit that involves others in a group setting.
I mean, it could be this tiny apartment that I live in with two other men, and they're super cool guys and we get along, but
it's always hard living with people. Like there's always stuff that comes
in a tiny space with one bathroom,
Yeah.
It's almost every night. My roommate, loves to start watching TV at like 1 a.m. And there's no other. It's hard to explain the living room setup, but there's only one option for a place to put the TV, and it's the wall it's this wall right here
Oh,
of
I
my
see.
bedroom. So it's like
Oh,
he'll have the volume down so low, and I can still hear every word.
yeah.
Um,
That is a lack of privacy for sure.
yeah, and also part of the reason why I've been like fantasizing about living out in the woods in Washington again. Maybe it's an extreme reaction to like always having people in my business.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're like, Seattle's too lonely. Nobody talks to me here. I'm going to go to LA. Oh, there's way too many people here.
And they all want to talk to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About their startup.
Right. All right. So moving on to drugs. To dream of illegal drugs represents unhealthy emotional needs that you feel you have to be fulfilled.
Huh.
All right. Yeah. Well, Dream Bible, maybe do like an editing pass every now and
I think you actually read that wrong.
Did I really? Unhealthy emotional needs that you feel have to be fulfilled. Oh yeah, I did read it wrong. Excessive amounts of pleasure or enjoyment behaving a certain way. You may be emotionally addicted to certain feelings or bad habits. Masturbation, pornography, power over others, gambling, making money, and preoccupation with being physically attractive are all possible issues symbolized by drugs. Enjoying abusing power, enjoying hypocritical advantages, feeling good before all else, a dangerous need to feel good. To dream of being high on drugs represents dangerous, excessive behavior. You may be aware of yourself going way overboard and enjoying it. Short-term feelings of ecstasy. It may also reflect an addiction to pleasure or power. Alternatively, being high on drugs may reflect how you are embracing bad habits, thinking that there will never be consequences for it. Embracing yourself going overboard, getting angry. To dream of overdosing, well, you didn't do that.
I mean,
I
don't know if there's an appropriate dose of PCP.
Yeah.
To dream. Well, did it feel like an overdose? Because if it felt like an overdose,
No.
then I'll read
The feeling wasn't, of like physical detriment. It was of like career detriment. Like I
Gotcha.
fucked up an opportunity.
Gotcha.
But I
didn't
didn't think I was going to die or anything.
So the subsections here are overdosing, other people being high, and prescription drugs. But it does say the type of drug is important. So marijuana, crack, cocaine, heroin, or ecstasy all have different meanings. So PCP is not in here, but conceptually, which of those would you say is closest to how you feel about PCP?
Say him again? It was-
Marijuana, crack, cocaine, heroin, or ecstasy?
I guess crack.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think crack.
That was my same thinking. Yeah. So I pulled up marijuana and crack cocaine.
There you go.
So marijuana, to dream of marijuana, represents taking a break from what you are thinking. This means you stopped working on a project or working towards a goal and decided to relax or take part in more carefree activities. If you have a negative personal view of marijuana, it may symbolize an aspect of something in your life that is compromising you, making you lose control, or
shit.
encouraging a loss of identity. Did that hit home?
Yeah. Everything that all of this is sort of playing into my initial interpretation. I was hoping it would steer me away, but it's all kind of coming together.
Okay, so it sounded like the part that resonated was negative personal view of marijuana. It may symbolize an aspect of something in your life that is compromising you, making you lose control, or encouraging a loss of identity. And then crack cocaine is, oh, no, it's not that long of an entry. To dream of crack cocaine represents your dependency on something that feels good and is horrible having to give up. A bad decision that you know is bad, but do anyway, knowing you may lose all you've worked for. And that was exactly what happened in the dream, was it not? Is that you had this huge opportunity and you blew it up on accident, losing all your power just to feel good. Lust, attraction, or bad habits that you destroy yourself to keep feeling. Feelings of safety, pleasure, or comfort that you prefer before all rational thinking. A symbol that may appear when you are having a really hard time getting over someone you like that is dangerous for you.
No, not so much that. I mean, do you guys have any thoughts before I tell you what I think it means?
Are we there already? Because I got more entries. Did we hit it?
I mean, it's all supporting what I'm thinking.
Gotcha.
But we can.
Well, let's hear what you're thinking,
Yeah,
and then
then we'll
maybe
keep
we can
going.
keep exploring and we can talk about it.
Yeah. I think that is probably the best way to play it. Because I don't think you're going to be able to guess without, actually being in my shoes.
Right.
For sure.
So I think it's about my relationship with alcohol,
Hmm.
which is why I was reticent to talk about it last time, because it's a tricky, weird thing to talk about. But I mean, it's a thing. So like, it's going to come up in other dreams. Might as well just talk about it, because I'm not like, I used to drink a lot. And I don't so much anymore, but like, it's still kind of habitual. And it's not like gross or dark amounts anymore, but I think I'm just getting to this place in my life where I'm wondering how much it's holding me back.
Yeah.
Because I think there's almost more danger to being not like literal danger, but like somebody who drinks excessively to the point of actually hitting rock bottom where they have to quit is almost in a better position than somebody who can get by. Just, you know what I mean? Like they never have, so they can keep operating at a lower frequency until their whole life is wasted. That's almost worse. Almost definitely worse. Or maybe that's at least what I'm afraid of, I guess.
I was going to say just like, yeah, because I do feel like there's a lot of different, that relationship can look really different between different people. Like, I feel like I don't know, Victor and I are both people who are pretty moderate, like, and I don't know, like, I don't know. I guess it's like, if you wonder if it's having an impact on your life and you wonder how it might be holding you back, then it probably is at a level that it may be on some level, right?
Yeah.
And that level can look different for different people, probably, because there's, as we know, there's such a like chemical difference between people and their relationship with alcohol, like that can be like hereditary,
And there's a lot of it in my family.
Yeah.
I think what you're describing is like your comparison there. So you were describing like two different ways that alcoholism can look, right? And in both cases, like unhealthy relationship with alcohol, and it's detrimental to life in both situations. One person just kind of chugs along indefinitely, always, being held back. The other person hits a point where they quit. Maybe they had to hit rock bottom, but they quit. And then they got to live a life without that weight around their neck, or however you want to think about it. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But it's also, if you're thinking in those terms, that sounds like a part of you that is telling you should maybe change your habits before you hit rock bottom, right? Or you may not think that you ever will hit rock bottom. So you may never quit if you see that as the only time or reason to.
Yeah, and you may never even be classified as an alcoholic. Just a person, a person with shitty habits. Because you could be sober and just have shitty habits, like unambitious, sort of. Like if you're an ambitious person, and that's what a big part of this dream is clearly about, is like wanting to succeed at stuff. My brain chose music, but I'm actively working towards stuff in the podcast world, in the audio world, and that's what a lot of my dreams have been about lately. So I think that's why like habits in general are on my mind. But like in general, I have, I think, pretty good habits, but that one kind of tends to throw a wrench in things when it does rear its head.
And can I ask, like, in what ways you've seen that directly, like, mess with your life?
Yeah. One, I want to say, this is why I was reticent to talk about it last time, is because I don't want like a potential employer to hear this and be like,
right,
you're fucking drunk. Because it's really, in the past it has been pretty crazy, but also, in the past I was in my early 20s and invincible, and surrounded by people who were also doing that. So I thought it was normal. And it's dropped off every year since. It's been less and less and less. But I've also gotten older, and like now it does not take that much alcohol for me to like be totally unmotivated the next day. Like I don't really drink to the point of getting hangovers in that. Like I don't get sick or anything like that. But I feel the like residual, just the fuck it's the next day. I'll just eat and watch TV and feel like an asshole for not doing more with the day. And it's like, even if you only do that once a week, that's a seventh of your life just shot, you know?
I think you're describing some like another thing that is really common and that I feel like everybody, particularly in our generation, experiences, and it's just like that productivity hang up.
Right.
Where it's like if you're not working and being productive and doing something that is like moving you forward, you feel like a guilty piece of shitty shitbag.
Yeah.
Well put.
Which is, that's kind of your work thing, right? It's like you had a plan that you were going to not job hunt for a little while, and it's still like eating you up because you're not checking your productivity boxes every day. And I'm obsessed with productivity, and we're all that way. And a lot of your dreams that we've talked about in this podcast tie back to you are so driven, you are so motivated, you have a path, and you want to plug along on that path, and then also you're constantly aware of, oh, this thing's getting in my way, or maybe I could do this differently, or maybe if only this was different, then I'd be able to get there faster. And I'm hesitant I'm hesitant to say this in a way that's going to sound like, yeah, man, keep drinking, you know? Keep on you know, what is a problem, really? You know? I mean, you're here with us. You couldn't have that bad of no.
It's just gold medal at the Slippery Slope Olympics.
I'm right with you, though. But
I think it's important to separate those ideas, right? Because you are take alcohol out of it entirely, right? Just like let's drop the alcohol conversation for a second.
Thank you.
I think you should be able to sit comfortably with relaxing every now and then. Like once a week seems appropriate to me to be able to chill out and let go a little bit and tell yourself, I don't have to be productive today.
It's the day of rest. It's the Lord's Day.
And if anything, it sounds like maybe on some level, like having a hangover the next day is like one of the few things that you'll give yourself permission to chill out for a little bit. And if anything, that's the unhealthy relationship, is that like you're needing a reason to relax.
Yeah, literally like having to like sedate. Agree. I mean, it does. It's sort of a snake eating its tail, because that productivity hang up, which by the way, Olivia used that exact phrase to describe me in like the first month that we worked together. She was like, I think you have a productivity hang up. And I was like, nice to meet you.
And you said, I'm working.
No, I mean, at that job, I was always just talking at her, distracting her from work.
That's true.
But that productivity hang up, I think, has fueled those nights in the past. I've noticed a pattern where leading up to like an important event, I just get more and more stressed until about 48 hours before I get super drunk. And then the next day is like scrambling to put the ruins of everything together, all for it to like come together at the last minute. So yeah, that's cyclical, I think.
I will also say something that stood out to me that you mentioned a few minutes ago is that you drank a lot in your early 20s, and that every year since then it's become less and less. That is not true for everybody. Like the fact that it isn't the same as it was in your early 20s, that does say something. And like I think
I'd be dead.
Right. Well, like that, I think that's important to note, is that like it's not that you're drinking like a college student. still, you know? And there are a lot of people who do that their whole entire lives.
Yeah, and I'm terrified of that existence.
Well, good. You probably won't do it then.
Yeah, probably not.
I think it is great to like have goals and dreams and be driven and work hard and like try to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. But I think there is something about hustle culture and like how people talk about productivity. I don't know if it's always been like this or if this is new, but it's very moralistic almost. Good people will succeed. If you do not succeed, you are a bad person. You are a lazy person. You are getting what you deserve because you have failed to succeed. And so you, like, if on some level you buy into that, you're constantly like, well, maybe it's like when I take one day off a week to chill a little bit. Oh, that's the reason why I'm not a good enough person to have succeeded yet. Oh, well, maybe if I lived like a perfect life, if I lived like a saint and I was doing all like everything I can think of that could possibly be productive, then I would ascend and I'd like have the dream job and have the dream scenario and everything would be perfect because I've finally been a good enough boy to be rewarded by society. And that's not really how it works. It's an important component of succeeding, but there's a lot of other factors at play, you know? And I also think you only live once and
YOLO.
Yeah, you gotta YOLO every now and then. You gotta like sit on the couch.
You gotta YOLO every now and then. Name of the episode.
Sometimes you gotta go out and party, and sometimes you gotta sit down and do nothing, and sometimes you gotta read like a stupid book, and sometimes you gotta like scroll on Reddit for an hour, and it doesn't, just live your life.
That puritanical work ethic, that is pretty uniquely American, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, and that's how the dream manifested itself. But I think for me, alcohol extends to like everything else in my life that isn't just ambition, but like health, like mental health, physical health. I also, I feel like it can throw me off my workout routine, off my diet. It definitely, I mean, it's a depressant. Those hangover days that I'm describing aren't just, it's not just the lack of productivity that causes depression. It's the depression that causes the lack of productivity.
I think like alcohol is unique in the sense that it's the only drug that you show up to a party and you say, I don't drink. And people are like, okay, like what's wrong with you? Like it's so normalized and it is so bad for you. Like it is really objectively quite bad for you. I was just seeing a study that was like even moderate drinking, like not having a problem with alcohol, but just consuming it every now and then does do damage to your brain over time. And like, I think that if you are feeling like it has negative effects on your health, on your mental health, on your ability to stay in your routines, then like pay attention to that. And maybe that is something you want to try changing in your life. But I think the other key important thing is like, you shouldn't have to drink to have a day of rest the next day. So like, there's two components here where it's like, you have to find other ways to allow yourself to do that. Cause I think it seems like your body wants that too.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you look at the other, like I went on my productivity rant, right? But drop productivity. Let's just talk about alcohol, not like what you'd do with that time if you weren't drinking. If you feel like you have an unhealthy relationship with it, that's something to pay attention to. And it's good to be tuned into, like, if there's something that is having a negative effect on your life or it's just not worth it, right? And that's worth exploring, right? It sounds like that's been on your mind, but bringing that productivity back into it, it's still okay to relax.
Yeah, that's what I think. I had this dream because I've been thinking about it a lot, and I spent 2 months teetotaling, just stone cold sober for 2 months, and that's like the best my mental health has been in years.
Yeah, well, that's great. I mean,
yeah, and it's and then for the past month, I haven't been drinking much, but I'm quote unquote allowed to again. But yeah, every time I do, it's not. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. I'm just at a weird place with it.
Yeah.
You're it reminds me of something that I experienced with marijuana, which was that I used to smoke a lot of weed when I was a 19, 20-year-old degenerate. And I for a very long time, I was quote unquote high functional or whatever. Like, I mean, I could sit there and smoke a lot of weed and I could go to class high. And like, maybe that was my perception of it. That was oh, you're fine and doing great. But like, either way, something shifted in me at a certain point. And I don't know if it was like literally body chemistry at a certain age, but something changed. And it affected me very differently.
Was it your early 20s?
It was like my mid 20, like 20, actually, yeah, like 20, 24.
Yeah, it was around 23 when weed started.
23, 24.
When weed started giving me panic attacks instead of being
Yeah,
fine.
Yeah.
it started giving me anxiety, and it was like
I think there's some brain
there was
development that like
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because it really quickly turned into a thing. Because there was a period of time there where like I had a negative relationship with it, but I was still doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I was continuing to do it routinely because it was a routine. And that I think can be really like unhealthy. But I do think that like when you get to that point, it's just like listen to your body a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I did the 2 months of sobriety because I was right before that. I was starting to have nights where I didn't want to drink, but I also didn't want to be sober. And I got this really anxious, like between a rock and a hard place feeling.
Mm.
And that's why I was like, fuck it, I know which one's healthier. So just take it off the table for a little while. Get used to sober being like your default, the like normal state of being. And then, and that worked. That I do since then. If I don't feel like drinking, I don't.
That's exactly what I experienced, was that I stopped smoking weed at that point, and I was sober for probably 2-3 months. And then at like around the time I actually met Victor, like started lightly smoking weed occasionally every now and then. And it has never since then been like an everyday habit, and it's never been a problem. And I know exactly what I want out of it and how much and when. And honestly, like it still like can pretty quickly affect me negatively if I do it in the wrong way. And I'm very cautious about that. But like resetting to a place where sober is the default and you don't feel the need to do another thing can totally shift you into a more healthy mindset about it, I think.
Yeah, it's just that second part, where you like sometimes have a little bit. That's the part I don't know if I can have.
Okay. Because
since those 2 sober months, the couple of times that I have drank, it was really hard to. Once that dopamine starts flowing, and so some people they get sleepy when they drink. I'm the opposite. I get really wired, and I want to do. I never just sit and drink unless I'm talking to people or at a party or whatever. And those nights, by the way, I don't regret. Like, I will probably have some drinks at your wedding because I know the next day I'm not going to beat myself up. If I'm hungover, I'm like, well, I was at a fun wedding drinking with people.
Yeah.
It's the nights.
That makes sense.
The nights that I have like a bottle of wine while I'm writing a script. And at the time I'm like, I'm fucking Hemingway or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Name an alcoholic writer. Like, but then the next day I'm like, this is dog shit. I have to rewrite half of this. And I don't want to because all I deserve is this bag of Cheetos.
Zach, do you feel like you get some? So that you said something that's interesting is that when you drink, you get like kind of some kind of wired or like you get more energy. Do you feel like that is like connected to your productivity hang up in the sense that like you drinking a bottle of wine so that you can write this script? Like, is it because you wouldn't write the script without it?
No.
Okay.
No, because I work on creative stuff sober all the time, and I get way more done.
Okay.
It's just that when I'm drinking, I get really excited to be creative,
Yeah.
and I do.
I understand.
It does come quicker and easier, but it hits a point of diminishing returns real soon.
Yeah.
And then the shame that I feel the next day from having drank makes it so that I don't want to open that script or that song for like.
Gotcha.
There have been nights where this hasn't happened in a long time. I haven't like lost memory from drinking in a long time, but there have been nights in the past where I recorded entire songs and not remembered it the next day and was too scared to listen to it because I'm like, it's going to sound like a fucking toddler, banging on a xylophone. It's going to sound terrible. And then I'll eventually, like a month later, be like, all right, let's face the music, literally. And then I'll listen to it. I'm like, it actually wasn't bad. Like a little rough around the edges because it was a drunk guy. But
I'm familiar with this, what you're describing, just without alcohol. It's that like I will, particularly with music, like I will write something and record something, and like I'll be really jazzed on it at the moment, and then like later I'll be like, I can't look at that, and sometimes I never will. And then sometimes it'll be like months later and I'm just like looking back through stuff, and it will be not like terrible the way I but it's like very much like a shame thing where it's like, but it's interesting. Like I feel like you're describing something I have felt, but it's not tied to alcohol for me. It's literally just creating something that makes me feel ashamed of it.
Yeah. Sorry, not to sidetrack us, but the sun is nowhere but Victor's eyes right now.
Yeah.
I'm in the sun right now.
And it's not shining on anything else except your eyes. You need to fix
I need to
this.
take a break.
Is there like a shade?
I don't know. There's somewhere I can go. Yeah, let me try it.
No, have you seen the window that's there? It's
No.
literally like, have you been to a McDonald's play place when you were a kid?
Yeah.
You know, the like bubble windows?
Oh, yeah.
It's literally that in the side of the wall here.
You're telling me you had a ball pit.
All right, I'm just going to be off camera.
Okay.
I had a very similar experience with weed that it sounds like both of you had, where it stopped being a positive thing for me, but I kept doing it. And it was in college, right? I was probably around 23. And I would be at school sober, like, man, I can't wait to get home, smoke a bowl, chill. And then I'd get home, I'd smoke a bowl, I'd have a terrible time. I'd do that over and over and over and over again for like a long time. And then, like, I don't know what clicked or changed, but it was like, I don't think I'm enjoying this. I think I need to stop doing this.
I think this has been not fun for like a while.
I think the change was, it was like, well, I don't like to get too high. And so I would taper back. And then when I tapered back, it was like, oh, that's still too far. And I'd taper back more. I just kept tapering back until it was nothing for a while or very little. And that's kind of still where I am, is like, I can enjoy a little bit of weed. We're in Washington. It's legal here.
We smoke the weakest shit. Though.
Yeah, we
It's like,
smoke the weakest
it's like
weed
mostly,
on earth.
It's like 9-to-1 CBD
Yeah.
weed.
Yeah.
And I'll take one little hit, like your grandpa. I'll
Yeah.
take one little hit and I'm good. I'm
He'll feel
done.
like, I got the munchies.
Yeah, I'm like, that's all I need is like after work, I'll take one tiny little hit and sit on the couch and I'll eat like some popcorn.
I'll eat a bowl of the Smart Food cheesy popcorn.
I fucking love the Smart Food cheesy popcorn. I've always loved it. I will always love it.
Yeah, I have there's a podcast that I engineer sometimes that's all about weed, and they have all these weed sponsorships. Peaked with Frank Castillo. I'll shout it out. Frank's a cool dude. It's a good podcast. But anyway, they always forget that I don't smoke, and they give me swag every time I engineer their podcast.
You have a bunch of weed merch.
Yeah, luckily both my roommates partake, so I just give it to them. But I do have one bottle of Lagunitas. It's a weed drink, but it's 18-to-1 CBD. THC. It has less than 2 milligrams of THC.
Oh.
And it's,
that sounds great.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it's still sitting in my fridge, though, because even that I'm afraid to take.
I think
1 milligram.
I think you'll have a great time with that. I think you'll just feel Like,
waiting to be
you
around.
I think you'll feel like you don't need to be productive, and that's okay, and you don't need to feel bad about it.
I just need some people around in case I freak out. The worst is being violently too high and alone.
Yeah.
That's true.
But yeah, to bring it back to the dream and land the plane, the thing that like when you're going through the dream Bible stuff that like I kept hoping maybe this dream's about something else. The thing that like solidified is like, yeah, I think that's what this is about. Is do you still have weed pulled up?
Yeah, let me pull it up.
Because of what we were just talking about with weed. Like I feel I have a negative outlook on it, not in a moralistic like I don't look down on people who smoke weed, but I'm like legitimately scared of THC.
He won't eat muffins for that
Yeah.
reason.
Homemade. I don't eat homemade confections.
Bless you.
Whenever somebody gives me brownies or something, I'm like, oh, I'm full, but thanks, I'll take them home.
Did you get like surprised one time and so that stuck with you? Like, did
No,
you
but-
accidentally eat it edible one time?
No, not an accident, but the first time I had an edible, I ate an entire brownie from a dispensary. But I think we might
Hey,
have.
you just need a nibble of those.
I might have told this story on the podcast already, but I had a 9-hour panic attack.
Gotcha. So now, so it's not even about like a fear of weed so much as like you've got like a Pavlovian like, dog response to baked goods.
Yeah.
Now you're like, no, I had a terrible time the last time I ate a brownie.
No, like I think I brought something to work one day. He said, "No thanks, I'm terrified of baked goods."
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when you eat something and then you get the flu and then you don't want to eat it for years.
Yeah. But so the marijuana entry. If you have a negative personal view of marijuana, it may symbolize an aspect of something in your life that is compromising you, making you lose control, or encouraging a loss of identity.
Yeah.
And then
I think
it opens.
I think that pretty
Sorry,
Go ahead.
You go ahead.
I can't see you're out of the frame now, so I can't. I think that pretty succinctly sums up my like fears with alcohol. Because again, in case any potential employers or my mother are listening, it's not like I don't drink an obscene amount anymore. I don't get drunk all the time. It's not like scary in any way. But I am wondering, like I said, is it holding me back? Is it like too much of who I am and how people think of me? Is it too habitual? You know.
And yeah, if any potential employers are listening, I didn't mean anything I said about hustle culture. I actually think you should spend every waking moment serving capitalism. That's my deepest belief, is that productivity is God. So yeah, if you're hiring.
And if you're hiring, I am unemployed. So
This will be the one our sizzle reel that we send to potential employers. Yeah, but I was talking to my mom the other day, and she was like, "Let me know when your podcast comes out." In my head, I was like, "Well, I don't know, it can be about me jerking off and drinking too much." But
yeah, my dad
Hi,
wanted
Mom.
to listen to it, and the only thing I had to show him was the poop episode, in which I describe a dream I had where my dad had entered me into a pooping contest, and I just didn't feel like sending that to him as the first introduction. But maybe it's perfect. Maybe then he'll never listen again.
I don't know, that if anything's gonna catch his attention, I feel like that might be like, I gotta keep tuning into this. I gotta see if I show up at any more of these dreams.
He does. Spoiler alert.
yeah, I mean, I guess that's just the nature of. Well, when we set out to do a dream podcast, we didn't. Highly confessional wasn't part of the.
Yeah, I didn't think we were doing group therapy over here.
Yeah, but then once we dug into it, it's like, how could it not be that?
Yeah, no, we were talking about this earlier. It's like the idea of a dream interpretation podcast was like, that's a great like conversation starter, jumping off point for a podcast where people banter and shoot the shit. But no, it's like real. It's like about real shit in your life. So I guess that's what we're doing now. Hello, world. Let me bare my soul.
This podcast must never be released. The people can never hear what we discuss on this podcast.
Victor just out of frame.
Yeah, I can literally now the sun is creating a silhouette, so you look like you're on the news talking like about a gang that you're still in.
I'm like leaning against the wall, trying to escape the sun that's like chasing me.
We should put one of those like robot monster voices. Oh, but we're not doing video yet, so the joke will be lost. Just do a podcast where we explain visual humor.
I would listen to that.
I feel compelled to keep like talking about drinking now that I've opened the can of worms, because it is such a shame-based thing, like I said. So that like talking about it all immediately makes me want to like, it's not really defending it, but it's like, I don't know, I just want to like illustrate a clear picture for people so that they don't worry about me.
Yeah.
I do feel like I don't know. I'm not coming away from this with like a perception of you as somebody who has a problem. Like,
I'm not either.
It sounds like I don't know. I don't know if this is other people's experience, but I've found myself and like my body in particular becoming more and more sensitive as I've gotten older. Like my stomach is more sensitive. Like I can't do the same things. I'm like acting like I'm 80 years old over here, but I feel like it sometimes.
Yeah, I've officially hit burger or fries age.
Yeah.
It's no longer burger and fries. That's
Yeah, exactly. But so like I feel like what you're describing is like I don't know. It doesn't sound like you have like a drinking problem, but that you're feeling it and how it's impacting your life in ways that you are thinking about.
Yeah, I do think I enjoy it more than a lot of people, and have made more of a habit than the average person. But where was I going with that? Wouldn't it be funny if I was drunk right now?
I have been drinking a beer this whole time.
Yeah,
he has. Speaking of explaining visual humor, keep that in mind.
So all my like deeply seated personal concerns have been punctuated by Victor taking a sip of beer.
It's true.
Off camera.
Now it's off camera.
I'm drinking coffee from a mug that says "First coffee, then adulting."
Buddy.
Yeah, no, you should keep drinking.
Where did you get that? Hobby Lobby?
I mean, there's bourbon in it.
I feel like I have no grounds to talk about. I feel like what I have to say on this could be problematic or whatever, but
it's fine. You're off camera.
I'm off camera.
Since I'm off camera.
This is Richter.
No one can hear you.
No. All right. So, well, I think some people would be able to drink with that frequency of like once a week ish, and have not feel negatively affected by it, have it not impact their day-to-day life for ultimate, success in their endeavors, and be able to have a comfortable relationship with alcohol while drinking at that frequency. Drinking could be as healthy as drinking can be and look on the outside a lot like how you are drinking and how you were interacting with alcohol. Maybe that's not true. Maybe I have a horrible misunderstanding of what drinking is and what alcoholism is, and I have a problem or whatever. But that's my perception of it. But I think it is important. The important thing is not what it looks like to other people. Yeah. The important thing is if you feel a dependence, if you feel you have to do this, if it's having a draining effect on your life, that's what makes it a problem.
I think that's kind of like one of the first things I was saying is just that like it's so case by case. Like there's so many factors that influence how it affects you and whether or not it is adding to or detracting from your life. And I think that that's something only you can really be the judge of. And it sounds to me like based on this dream, there is evidence that you feel like it is taking away from your life.
Yeah.
Or worried that it will or has.
Worried that okay.
Well, but you've also said that you felt the best you felt in a long time and your mental health was as good as it's been in a long time during that window you gave yourself to not drink. And I think that's important to pay attention to, you know, because that's ultimately what you care about, right? Is having that mental health where you want it to be and having your life where you want it to be. And if you got that by not drinking, maybe that's something you need to think about making a change.
I also really think that, like, for particularly, there's some people that it has to be an all or nothing thing for. And it doesn't need to be that way for everybody. So like you said, it's like there are people who will drink at like special occasions, and like a couple times a month they'll drink, or like they will drink for certain particular things, and that feels good and appropriate. And I think that seems to be a place where you land comfortably.
Yeah, because I think I'm just getting too old to be drinking casually for no reason at all. And also combined with the fact that I have a hard time slowing down once I start. And again, that number never goes into like double digits of drink, you know, like it's not crazy, but it's enough to not feel good the next day. And so I feel like I need to have, that needs to be an exception. You know what I mean? It needs to be a treat. It can't
I think
be
that
like
it can be really difficult to tell yourself never again when it's like that. I don't think it has to be that way.
Yeah. And I've proven to myself that I have no problem saying no to that first drink. It's just each subsequent one gets harder. Like I said, I probably will at the wedding.
And you're like the whole week you're on vacation essentially, right? Like I don't know. I just think like if you can gauge when it's going to add to your experience and not be a problem for you, like that's like that's perfect. And the problem for a lot of people is that they have no sense of that, right? And it always feels like a good idea when it maybe isn't, right?
Yeah. And the flight out there, this at 9 a.m, but that hasn't stopped me in the past. I have terrible flight anxiety, and I usually have a couple drinks before I get on the plane. But I'm determined to do this one sober. So
I forgot that you're afraid of planes.
Yeah.
You can get a Xanax prescription. I feel like if you tell your doctor,
I've had
I'm
one
afraid of flying.
No, I've done that in the past. It doesn't work.
Oh, interesting. It's just not
maybe I didn't take high enough of a dose. It actually made me more anxious.
Oh.
Because I felt like the calming effects of the Xanax, and then that made me go into fight or flight, because I thought like my body was shutting down or something subconsciously. And so my body started, the same thing happens with like Ambien and sleeping medication. As soon as I get drowsy, my body's like, don't die, and then goes into overdrive.
Weird. You're a freak.
No, booze is the only thing that works. But yeah, I think.
Okay, Victor. Now Victor's off camera, but the sun has moved to be in his eyes again.
Still chasing me.
So maybe if you come back this way, you'll.
Okay, let me see how far in the other direction I have to go to.
It looks natural.
I don't know if this will work.
I don't think this is a good idea.
Just turn your gain up.
You can go back to your corner.
But yeah, I think with anything, any kind of habit, the important thing is just like self-awareness and paying attention to it and doing what you have to do. This is me trying to like conclude this in a place that I'm happy with.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. And that like, I think that generally people who have what we understand to be a classic problem with like that, a substance, that self-awareness is really skewed because of addiction, right? And I think that you have some awareness about that. And so that's maybe a good place to be.
Yeah, for now. I'll keep my finger on the pulse. So.
All right.
I'm going to get another beer. I'll be right back.
Thank you for listening to The Young and the Restless.
You can follow us on social media at The Young and the Restless Pod, and submit your dreams for interpretation to The Young and the Restless Pod at Gmail.
And as we always say,
my dream was cooler than yours.
You